Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Natalia, and today I wanted to do a bit of a different type of video where I'm combining two of my favorite hobbies, reading and crochet. So a couple days ago, I saw a post on Facebook from one of the many crochet groups I'm a part of someone who made a granny square blanket based on the covers of the books she had read in 2024. And I'll pop a photo up here. It just looks so cool, so creative, and I'll switch out the photos as well. She also posted photos of the covers of the books themselves, along with the granny square that she had made for that book. And she is clearly an avid reader. She's got a full-blown blanket of her 2024 reads. So I really, really love this idea. I've never made a granny square, but it's something that I know is so popular in crochet that I really want to try my hand at it. And something like this, where it's combining the books that I've read with crochet, is just so up my alley. So I want to do something inspired by this post. I was looking back at my 2024 books, and I realized that I actually read more than I typically do. I read 42 books in 2024. However, 42 is still not enough to make a full-size blanket, unless I make the granny squares really, really large. So I was toying with different ways of how I could do this, and what I think I've landed on is I think I'm going to make granny squares for the 4-star and above reads that I have across different years. So I'll create a blanket, but it'll just continue growing year over year, essentially. And the idea is I'll look for something on Etsy, I'm sure this exists, where some creator on Etsy can like etch into maybe vegan leather or some sort of material that I can also crochet through. And I'm thinking I'll put the titles and the year, maybe also the star rating that I gave the books for each year, and then as I crochet out the blanket, I can just crochet that into the middle of the granny squares that are related. So I'll have to play around with this idea of how I'll actually combine all of them and try to define, okay, these are the 2024, these are the 2025, and figure out how to even note which books were in which year so that I can look for those covers. But I just thought this idea was just so cool that I really have to try it. So I went back to my reading list of 2024, and out of those 42 books that I read, by some magical happenstance, 31 of those books I rated 4 stars or above. And I'm typically not somebody who rates books very highly. I think I'm pretty even across the board of at least for my ratings, right? So not necessarily compared to somebody else, but I did rate those other books below 4. And I looked in past years as well. This was the best year based on book ratings that I've had in the last 5+ years of keeping track of those star ratings in Storygraph. So kind of a great year to start this blanket with. So I will somehow, having never made granny squares before, make 31 granny squares for 2024. And I'm not too concerned with timing just because this will grow over the years. But I also wasn't sure which pattern for the granny square to choose. So I started doing some Googling, and I found this creator that many, many years ago, I think it was something like 10 years ago, she did an entire playlist of 365 days of granny squares on YouTube. And I just looked through the thumbnails of that playlist to find the ones that kind of looked interesting to me or unique enough, especially as I want to use so many colors in a single granny square, right? To make those different covers. So I found, and I'll keep showing the photos here, but I found a couple different granny square patterns that look really interesting to me that I think would go well with this experience. And then also just looking on Joanne's website, bankruptcy issues aside, I think there are a couple different worsted weight yarns that I think I could use for this. So the Big Twist Value, or something like There's one from Lion brand as well that I think would work, but there were like 3 or 4 different yarns that I'll also link below in the description box that I think would work well with each other in terms of size and being interchangeable. So I think I've got some patterns that I can try out and see how they work up, see how I like them. A couple of different yarns that I can use, and then the books. The books themselves, there are a few that I think I'm looking forward to making, like The Games Gods Play. I think will be a really interesting combination of colors in a granny square. Or one of my favorite books from 2024 was Margot's Got Money Problems, and it's so colorful and so bright and vivid that I think it'll be really interesting to try and find yarn colors to match that and make that into a granny square. So this is a slightly different take on a granny square blanket, but it's a space of crochet that I've been wanting to explore. And when this post popped up on my feed, it just made so much sense to me to try and make something similar. So I'll link the post. You do have to be a member of the group to probably see it, which is part of why I blurred out the poster's face. But if you join the group, you'll see plenty of other things that people are just so creative with for crochet. So I'll try to do a check-in maybe in about a month or 2 and see if I have a couple granny squares down and ready to go. I'll have to buy some sort of like that blocking thing for the squares, and they'll just live there for probably a few months until I have enough and know how to arrange them and start pulling them together. But yeah, so I just wanted to give an overview of one of my next projects that, similar to all my other projects, are going to be a multi-month undertaking, but I'm really excited for this attempt and just really excited to see how it goes. So it'll be a fun one. I'll come back in another month or 2 for this specific project and give an update, and we'll see how it goes. So until then, thank you so much for dropping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.